So in our last video, we created our migrations for our roles table and our roles link table. And then in our models, we created the relationship between the users and the roles. So next we need to create some database seeds. So we've actually got some data to work with within the application. Over in our terminal, so to create that, we want to do a PHP artisan make seed. And we're going to create our roles seeder first. So we want to call this roles table seeder. Now over in application, if we open up database seeds, we can now see our roles table seeder. Let's open this. Obviously we want to create some roles, so we need to bring in our role model. So up at the top, we can do a use app /role. That brings our role model in. The first thing we want to do is truncate the table. And this is just so when we run the table seeder, it'll empty all the data from it and then repopulate it with what we tell it to do. If we don't do that, every time the database seed runs, it'll just keep repeating the same data. So to do that, we're just going to call our role model, and we're just going to call the truncate method. And after the table's been truncated, we can now start creating our roles. So we're going to call role again, and we're going to call create. And then create just takes an array with the key as the table column, and then the value as whatever value you want to put in. So let's open up an array. And the column we call name. And let's create an admin role. I'm just going to copy this line down again a few times. And then let's just create some more roles. So we'll have an admin, we'll have an author, and then we'll just have a generic user. And that's it. That's all we need to do for our table seeder. So we need to come over to our database folder, seeds and database seeder. And we need to make Laravel aware of this new seeder we created. So in the run function, we can just call this call, and we want to call our roles table seeder. So now every time you run PHP artisan db seed, anything in this run method will be called. So you can see it's commented out here by default. This is the users table seeder. So we're actually going to create this and use it. So let's just uncomment this now. And let's create that users table seeder. So again, it's a PHP artisan make :seed, and it's called users table seeder. So under database seeds, we can see our new users table seeder. Let's open this up. And when we're creating the users, we're obviously going to need our user model. So we can do use app user. And we're also going to need our roles model. So use app role. So like our roles, what we're going to do, we're going to truncate our users table first. So user truncate. So that'll empty all the data out every time the seed is run. And we also need to truncate our linking table. So the table that links the roles to the users, we need to empty that table as well. So to do that, we're just going to call the db facade, and we're going to give it a table, and the table is called role_user. And then we're just going to call the truncate method on that as well. So the next thing we need to do, we need to get our roles out of the database. So we created an admin, author, and user role. So let's create some variables for these. So I'm going to call this one admin role, and that is going to equal to, and we're going to call our role model, and we're going to say, get me the roles where name is equal to admin. And we're just going to get the first instance that you find. Now let's copy this down twice. And we're going to do this for our author and our user. So let's do author role equals name, where it's equal to author. A bit of a typo there, just take that N out. And then the final one was just our generic user role. And that is where name is equal to user. So now we have our role information in these variables. We can start creating our users. So I'm just going to create an admin, author, and then a generic user here. And we're going to store them in variables because we need to attach the role to them users later on. So let's create admin, and that's going to be equal to, and we're going to call our user model, and we're going to call the create method. And now this just, again, like in the roles, it takes an array of the columns and what values you want to give them. So let's open up an array. And the first one on the user we're going to do is name. And we're going to equal this to the admin user. Let's give them an email, and this is what we're going to log into the application with. So I'm just going to create admin@admin.com, and it also needs a password. So to do that, we need to bring in the hash facade. So up the top, if we do a use, we want to bring in illuminate /support /facades, and we want to bring in the hash facade. Now we can use that facade, and to do that, we're going to call hash, and we're going to call its make method, and then we just need to give it a password. So you can put anything you want in here. I'm just going to do admin as the password, and then we just need to close off this create method here with a semicolon. We need to do this again another 2 times for our author and user. So I'm just going to copy this down. We're going to change this to author, and we're going to change its name to author user. I'm just going to change the email to author.com, and change the password to password. You've probably noticed I've made a bit of a typo here, so I'm just going to change the password for the admin to password as well to keep things simple. And then just our generic user, and then I'm just going to give him a name of generic user and an email of user@user.com, and for the password I'm just going to give it password again. So now this will create the 3 users for us, but they won't have any roles assigned. So now we need to assign the roles up here onto the users. So let's do that now. So we've created the user here, admin, and we stored this in the admin variable. So we're going to call that admin variable, and we're going to call our roles relationship, which we created on the model in the last video, and we're going to call the attach method. So what the attach method does, it attaches whatever we pass it onto that user. So inside of here, we've grabbed our admin role out of the database. So let's put that in admin role. So this now attaches the admin role onto the admin user via our roles relationship that we defined. So on the user model under app user, you can see we defined a belongs to many roles here. So the attach method will put that role onto the user. So we need to do this for our author and our user. So let's grab this author that we created here, and we want to give him the author role. And then the same again for the generic user. Let's grab this generic user we created here, and we're going to give him the user role. And just click save, and now our database seeds are set up. Let's run them. So over in the terminal, it's a PHP artisan db:/seed, and that's run our roles table seeder and our users table seeder. So let's jump back into our application, and we're going to log in again. Let's just log in as our admin user this time. And that was admin@admin.com, and password was just password. And you can see we're now logged in as our admin user that's just been put into the database. And if we go to user management, although it's not very nicely formatted, we can see our 3 users here. We've got the admin, the author, and the generic user. So in the next video, let's just do some housekeeping, tidy this up, and create some links for our edit and delete on our users.